The Revelation, chapter 1. The revelation of which God gave unto him, to show unto his servants things which must shortly come to pass. And he sent and signified it by his angel unto his servant John, who bare record of the word of God, and of the testimony of God, and of all things he saw. Blessed is he that readeth, and they that hear the words of this prophecy, and keep those things which are written therein, for the time is at hand. John to the 7 churches which are in Asia, grace be unto you, and peace from him which is, and which was, and which is to come, and from the 7 spirits which are before his throne, and from who is the faithful witness, and the first begotten of the dead, and the prince of the kings of the earth, unto him that loved us and washed us.
Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Kakwadash. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders GMS, whom rule well, teach well, being great examples to his younger brothers. And peace and blessing salutation to the hopeful elect, pushing his word and truth and in sincerity across the 4 winds in the name of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. Pushing to get up out of here. Shalom to the hopeful elect, the believers, the listeners whom have came back to the obedience of the scriptures through faith in Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. And what I want to get into, all right, real quick this morning, is dealing with the unrighteous, dealings of the current rulers of the earth, man, Esau, Edom. The earth is witnessing, all right, a very corrupt, perverse, and oppressive rulership in the earth, and righteousness does not go forth. There's no righteousness in this man's dealings, okay? And how this man treats, the working class, is extremely unjust, man. Okay, and the scriptures speak about these things when you go to Ecclesiastes chapter 5 verse 13. There's a sore evil which I have seen under the sun, namely riches kept for the owners, therefore to their hurt. Okay, and there's a extremely unjust wealth distribution throughout the earth, and this man has it set up to pretty much where, as a worker, you're always scrambling, just trying to make it. The masses of the people, are on the constant rat race and the scramble, trying to make it when the earth is meant to have abundance. Even if you're not, super rich, you should have abundance, for your daily necessities, man. Okay? And Esau Edom, all right, with the way he deals, and the way that these bankers have leverage over the masses is through their unrighteous dealings, man, because everyone is subjugated, to this economy, all right, of the devil, man. Okay? Verse 14 said, but those riches perish by travail, and he begetteth a son, and there is nothing in his hand. Yeah, because eventually what these devils have stored up and hoarded up in the riches, the resources, the wealth, okay, it's going to be taken away. Okay, it's going to go from a generation of Edomites that was in authority to a generation that was in captivity. You see, these Edomites that go into captivity, the same way their children was born in wealth, they're going to be born into captivity, man. Okay, now I want to get something to show how unbalanced this man has the wealth distribution in the earth. I want to go here to this article. All right, it says CEO pay has skyrocketed 1,460% since 1978. Now remember, this is just the CEO of these major companies, man. It's not even, the owners, which some owners are the CEOs, but some owners hire CEOs, So these are the super rich of these techs. This is not even dealing with the bankers. Okay, but just to show you the unrighteousness of this man's wealth system, man. Okay, of his money distribution. It says, what this report finds, corporate boards running America's largest public firms are giving top executive outsized compensation packages that have grown much faster than the stock market and the pay of typical workers. College graduates and even the top 0.1% in 2021, we project that the CEO at one of the top 350 firms in the U.S. was paid $27.8 million. Okay, and that's a yearly salary, man, on average. Using a realized measure of CEO pay that counts stock awards when vested and stock options when cashed in and ownership is taken, this 11.1 increase from 2020 occurred because of rapid growth in vested stock awards. Using a different granted measure of CEO pay, which counts the value of stock awards and options when announced or granted rather than realized. Average top CEO compensation was $15.6 million in 2021, up 9.8 since 2020. In 2020, that's when they did a real, wealth grab. Shut down a lot of businesses and, shut down a lot of the smaller business. Okay, was force people, to shop online more. Was force people to shop with certain businesses. It was a wealth grab, man. Okay, Bezos became a trillionaire, during the pandemic. Okay, and it's gonna go into a little more. It's the numbers I want to go into here. It says the ratio of CEO to typical worker compensation was 399 to 1. Okay, under the realized measure of CEO pay. That is up from 366 to 1 in 2020, and a big increase from 20 to 1 in 1965 and 59 to 1 in 1989. CEOs are even making a lot more than other very high earners, all right, almost 7 times as much. From 1978 to 2021, CEO pay based on realized compensation grew by 1,416%. So the CEO's pay increase has went up 1,460%, far outstripping S&P stock market growth and top 0.1% earning growth. All right, and 18% of the typical worker growth. So let's just show what these numbers mean, just to simplify what we just read. So in 1965, the CEO pay to an employee was 20 to 1. So let's go here. Let's get the calculator. So let's say an employee makes $3,200 a month. Well, when it was 20 to 1 in 1965, you times that times 20. So the CEO will make $64,000 a month. For every $3,200 that an employee makes, the CEO will make $64,000. That will be their monthly salary. Okay, when it was 20 to 1. Now, in what year that was, 1989, it went up to 59 to 1. Okay, so let's go on 50. In 1989, it went up. So now, okay, if you make 3,200, the CEO is making 188,000. All right, and $800 a month. Okay, now let's put in the numbers from before the pandemic, right before the pandemic, which was 366. So now every $3,200 an employee makes, the CEO makes $1,171,200. Okay. Now this is where we at now after pandemic, 399. So now the CEO will make pretty much 1.2 million. Okay, $1,276,800. Okay, do you see how the wealth has becoming much more corrupted and wicked? Okay, so the CEOs have went up 1,460% their pay. Well, the typical worker has only went up 18%. So you divide that by 18. So the CEOs, all right, have increased their pay 18% 81 times, while the typical worker has only increased 18% one time. You see? Plus you got inflation, the cost of living going up. All right. So you can see how this man deals very unjustly and is only getting more and more corrupt. Okay. And that's why you have, when you go to, when this man is getting ready to implement the MOTB, this is Revelation. Let me get it. This is Revelation 13 and 16. So Revelation 13 and 16 says, and he causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, no middle class. The middle class is being done away with. Okay, you're going to have the super rich and you're going to have the poor. Okay, free and bond to receive a charagma in their right hand or in their foreheads. Okay, and we see it's trending towards rich and poor. Okay, no middle class, man. You see, the typical worker is not increasing with the economy, with the stock market. You know, the typical worker is only decreasing, man. Okay, but the scriptures speak against that, man. That's why when you go to let's get this in the book of James. This is the book of James, chapter 5. This is the book of James, chapter 5, verses 1 through 6. It says, go to now, ye rich man, weep and howl for your miseries that shall come upon you. Your riches are corrupted and your garments are moth-eaten. Yeah, see, this man has became rich off corruption, man. And he's getting more and more corruptible. You see? And he's going to howl because he's been living in luxury. You see, he's going to go from this luxurious, exotic, just far out, lavish lifestyle to captivity, man. And he's finna howl, man. Because that's a rich man's worst nightmare. Is not death, is becoming poor, living poor. Okay? And the Lord's going to make that happen, man. Okay? Yahweh Shai is going to execute that judgment in the earth and make that happen. It says, your gold and silver is canker, and the rust of them shall be a witness against you, and shall eat your flesh as it were fire. You have heaped treasures together for the last days. Yeah, so all these resources that these devils have stored up, okay, and the earth is suffering, that's going to be a witness against his corruption, man. That's going to be a witness against his unjust dealings. Yahweh Shai comes back, and this man has all this wealth stored up, and the earth is, you got people in famines and starving and malnourished and all these different things. Okay, homelessness and all these things on the rise, with these men still have all this unjust wealth stored up, man. It's gonna be a witness against them, man. Okay, it said, behold, the hire of the laborers who have reaped down your fields, which is of you kept back by fraud, crieth, and the cries of them which have reaped are entered into the ears of the Lord of Sabaoth. Yeah, and that's going back to just like ancient Egypt. When the children of Israel cried because of the task, because of the burdens of ancient Egypt, we cried out and the Lord intervened. And now the elect are crying out in this time, and the Lord is getting ready to intervene. You see? All right, this is Exodus 6 and 5. And it says, and I have also heard the groaning of the children of the Israel, whom the Egyptians kept in bondage, and I have remembered my covenant. Okay, and the spiritual and the modern day Egyptians are these Edomites, man. Mainly here in America, which America is the most overworked country in the world. Okay, let this is spiritual Egypt, man, that bondage. Wherefore say unto the children of Israel, I'm the Lord, And I will bring you out from under the burdens of the Egyptians, and will rid you out of their bondage, and will redeem you with the stretched out arm, Yahweh Shai, and with great judgments. Okay? And this is where we at with it now. Okay? Esau has become like ancient pharaohs, their taskmaster, man. Verse 11 says, and I will take you to me for a people, and will be to you a power, and ye shall know that I am the Lord your power, which bringeth you out from under the burdens of the Egyptians. Okay? And he's finna do that now. As we cry out now, man. In this unjust and unfit, system, man. Okay? Esau, his system is extremely unfair and unjust, man. How this man maneuvers, man. This is a very oppressive system. You see? So go back. So this is James 5 and 5. It said, you have lived. I started 4. It said, behold, the hire of the laborers who have reaped down your fields, and whose the hands and feet of this beast system, man. The Israelites, the tribes, man. Okay? Which is of you kept back by fraud, and the cries of them which have reaped are entered into the ears of the Lord, the Sabbath oath. You have lived in pleasure on the earth and been wanton. You have nourished your hearts as in the day of slaughter. You have condemned and killed the just, and he doth not resist you. Okay? Because this system only gets more and more oppressive, and people wasn't rising up. Go back to the 60s, 50s. People was pretty much chilling, just enjoying, the work of their hands, man, working, back in the 50s, especially the 50s, man, when pretty much the man was able to make enough to provide for his household. The woman was able to, to pretty much keep home. Okay. There was no uprising, man. Jake was doing their thing. Jake, had their little things going. Jake had their own economies and, own businesses. And, Jake wasn't trying to militarize and come at this devil, man. But this man only sought to oppress and afflict more and more. And that's why judgment is coming. That's why you have this written here. And we'll end it here. Matter of fact, we'll get a contrast. All right, so this is Sirach 10 and 8. It says, because of unrighteous dealings, injuries, and riches got by deceit, the kingdom is translated from one people to another. And it's going to be changed from Esau unto Jacob. Okay? As Yahweh Shai ruling, on the throne of David. Okay? Which represents the tribes being together and dominion over the enemy, man. And the will of the Lord being executed in the earth. Which that's what was going on during the time of King David. Okay? So the Lord is finna transition from this wicked, unrighteous dealings to righteous dealings, man. Okay? And it's just giving an example of those righteous dealings. You see? Now, when you go during the time of King Solomon, when, Solomon was in his right mind, all right, he dealt justly. He shared the inheritance. Okay, 1 Kings 10 and 27, it says, and the king made silver to be in Jerusalem as stones, and cedars made he to be a sycamore that are in the veil for abundance. So under, the rulership of Solomon, the economy of Israel was crazy. The economy of the earth was crazy, man. Wealth was distributed. Okay? Silver was as a stone, which means it was abundance. Cedar, which is a costly wood, was as a sycamore, was in abundance, man. Resources was in abundance, man. Okay? You go here to 1 Kings 4 and 20. 1 Kings 4 and 20 says, Judah and Israel were many, as the sand which is by the sea, and multitude eating and drinking and making merry. Okay? We was in mirth. You see, the earth was in mirth, man. That's why the kings of the earth came to Solomon, because they wanted to duplicate what he was doing, within their realm, man. Okay, so their economies would thrive and their people would thrive, man. Okay, but under this devil, it's the complete opposite, man. The governments pretty much drain the people of energy, okay, and then take all the resources, man. They work you to death and give you just enough, to come back to work, man. Okay, there's a lot of people in those situations. 1 Kings 4:25, and Judah and Israel do it safely, every man under his vine, okay, and under his fig tree from Dan even to Beersheba, all the days of Solomon, man, which lets you know every man had their own substance, man. Okay, and then the kingdom is going to go back to that. Let's prove it. Let's get that in the book of Micah. All right, and we'll end it here. You see, the earth is going to appreciate a righteous rulership. After their rigorous captivity and wickedness is beat out the earth. Okay, just as they beat righteousness out of us, man, wickedness is going to be beat out the earth. This is Micah 4 and 1. It says, but in the last days shall come to pass that the mountain, all right, which is the government of the house of Israel, of the house of the Lord, so like it shall be established in the top of the mountains, and it shall be exalted above the hills, and people shall flow unto it. And many nations shall come and say, come and let us go up to the mountain of the Lord Yahweh Shema Shai, and to the house of the power of Jacob, and he will teach us of his ways, and we will walk in his path. For the law shall go forth of Zion, and the word of the Lord from Jerusalem. You see that? Righteousness is going to be established. The government of Israel, Yahweh Shai, 144,000, that governing body is going to establish righteousness, man. Okay? With the law, statutes, and commandments. Verse 3, and he shall judge among many people and rebuke strong nations afar off, and they shall beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. They shall not lift up a sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. And that's another thing in this society. People have to spend so much money on war. Okay, because Esau is a goddamn madman, so these nations have to stay, spending money into war, man. Well, because you look at it, most of the world's spending is based off of war. It's in military. Okay, because it's a wicked, violent man that's in power, and war is always, on the horizon, man. Okay, but in the kingdom, war, there ain't gonna be no war budget. Ain't gonna be no military budget in the kingdom. Okay, it says, verse 4, but they shall sit every man, okay, this is beginning with the Israelite man, under his vine and under his fig tree, and none shall make them afraid, for the mouth of the Lord of hosts have spoken it. Okay, so we're going back to fairness in the earth, man, to justice, integrity, dealing uprightly, man. Okay, abundance. Okay. The earth is going to be transformed back to paradise, man. Everyone is going to benefit from a righteous rulership eventually, man. Okay, except for Esau, Edom, who's going to be removed, okay, from the earth, man, exterminated. So that was the point, Lord will you brothers and you few souls are edified. Till next time I say shalom.